Our speaker, Denise, has come to share her experience, strength, and hope with us in the specific area of DDA Toolkit and the 12 steps of DA. Welcome, Denise.
Hi everyone, I'm Denise. I'm a debtor and under-earner.
Hi Denise.
I'm so honored to be here today. Thank you so much to Kevin for asking me to speak. I feel completely unqualified to be sitting up here, and I'm completely terrified. I was sitting here and it was like unbearable just sitting here. Even the first 5 minutes, I just wanted to scream and run away. And the only thing that I could do to keep me on this seat is to just ask for God, and my hands are trembling, and ask for God's help. And I think one of the reasons why I'm so terrified is because there's something about like sitting up here and like just letting you see me, you know, speaking from my heart and letting you see me is like incredibly terrifying. So, welcome to all the newcomers. This program really changed my life, and I'll just start out by saying that I don't have the cash and prizes yet, so that makes me feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not qualified to sit up here, and I have some shame around that, and that's my ego also. I'm just looking at all these like familiar faces, and I feel like I'm going to break down and cry. Wow. I look around and I see the faces that have helped me, like the people that have taken my phone calls, you know, my sponsor, you know, people I used to sponsor, like my friends, and I'm just like, I feel so much love and gratitude, and that's God. And when I first got into these rooms 4 years ago, I remember coming to this meeting, and I remember feeling like everyone's so happy and everyone's like such good friends, and I feel so alone, you know, like I was in the courtyard and I feel like everyone knew each other and we're hugging, and I felt so alone, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know anyone, I don't have any friends, I'm going to go now. And I would just run out of the meeting. And you know, it was, I came into DA, and then it was when I came into this meeting that my life started to change. And my first commitment I took was a greeter commitment, and then it started to change a little bit. Like, oh, I started to, you know some people, and that made me feel better. And then I did the food committee, and it sucked getting up so early and being here so early, but that was really the commitment that helped me to be a part of. I felt like I was, you know, it was like a meeting before the meeting, and, you know, I made friends, and I felt like I started to really love this meeting, and every week I came here and I heard the miracles, and I heard, you know, all of your stories, you know, through the ups and the downs, and the huge successes, and like the lows, and, you know, just would leave feeling so filled up, and I was in a lot of pain, but when I would come to this meeting, I would feel like, oh, there's hope. But that Saturday morning, I hear hope, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's possible. And then eventually, like I kept taking commitments. So to the newcomers, I really suggest taking commitments. I was intergroup rep and sponsor liaison, and then I became secretary, and I had no idea how that happened. And I really want to thank Kevin and Ferd, because I remember sitting there, and Ferd sat next to me. He's like, I think it's time you be secretary. And I was like, no way. And then Kevin nominated me, and I was like, okay, God. And I showed up, and I sat here, and it really took my program to another level. So it was really humbling. Like, for a while, I was just like, I don't want to come here. Like, I was kind of going through a low. And by sitting here, I just was so humbled And so thank you guys so much for allowing me to be of service in that way. And anyways, so I'll talk a little bit about what happened, or what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. So I was like really talking it over. I was like really thinking about it, and thank you. And I don't have the cash and prizes yet, but there are a lot of ways that my life changed. When I first came into program, I was in Al-Anon. I was in Al-Anon for a few years, and my life really changed. Things got better, but there was one way. I was like, I don't know how to do money. I don't know how to manifest my vision. I'm so powerless, and that area would not get better. And so I went to an Al-Anon meeting and heard someone who was in 2 programs and talked about, God's abundance and being of service and being abundant. And I was like, I want that. Like, that's in my heart. I want that. I don't know how that's possible. And so she became my first sponsor. I came into DA. And right before, what happened was that I was in a job that was really abusive. I was working at a restaurant with this owner who was very, very abusive, would yell at me in front of customers, even though I was trying to do the best that I can, and not only to me, but to other people. And after being a while at that job, I got fired, and I was so miserable. And we had some money, and I was like, I didn't come out to LA to be like working at a restaurant. I'm miserable. I want to do acting. And so my husband and I were like, I was like, I think I want to try this full time and really try to make money this way. And he's like, yeah, okay, I think so too. I'll help you. And I was like, okay, great. And when you look at our numbers, like the numbers didn't add up. There was no way, But we're like, okay, we're going to try this. And so that's my best thinking, the vagueness and then like the unreality of it, and thinking that my husband's going to bail me out yet again, like it's going to be someone. And so I was without a job. I was trying to do my acting thing. I was going out for commercials. And then, of course, I had that desperation. I was throwing money into it, like taking casting director workshops and doing all this stuff. And I was in so much fear and then in so much terror. And that's when I heard the sponsor at Al-Anon, my first DA sponsor at Al-Anon. And when I first walked into DA, the first thing I heard was, take your numbers, start writing down everything, and just start, just really get willing to earn. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And she's like, no, really, like, okay, then at least you can pray for the willingness to earn. And why don't you put acting on the side, And I was like, what? And I threw a tantrum and fought her tooth and nail. And she was like, I know God wants you to have everything you want and want you to be happy, but you're just in fantasy right now. So you got to get to the basics and really be willing to earn. And I was like, fuck this. And I was like, okay, fine. And so I was just willing. Excuse my French, but I was just willing. I was doing everything. I was like, okay, I applied to so many jobs and I did all this stuff, and I did cater waiter for a while. I started to, nanny for different families, and I started to feel better, and things started to get better. And one of the big changes that DA has helped me is my work environment changed. Anyway, so my first job, I was with this family that was so crazy making, and I was it was crazy making. And I was miserable, and I would talk to my sponsor, and I'd be like, I want to leave, but I don't know what to do. I need to be willing to earn. And so the thing that people kept telling me to do was don't make any decisions, just work on your steps. Throw yourself into your steps. And I was like, fine. And I was writing on my steps, okay, God, I'm determined. Writing on my steps. And my sponsor was like, write an intention of what kind of environment that you want. And I was like, fine. And so I did that. And then I was like, I'm determined, God. And I was like, okay, let me just sit here. And I remember I was in the coffee shop of Target, really intent, writing my steps and being like, God, you're my solution. Let me just write on my steps. And then that day, I got a phone call saying, hey, Denise, do you know of anyone who's hiring or who needs a job, or do you need a job for this? And it all met my criteria. That was my intention. And I was like, yes, I'm looking for a job. Okay, great. And so that was my first real DA job. I've had jobs, but that was my first DA job, working for this beautiful family, nannying for them and personal assisting them. And the dad he's a director who works a lot, and I kept it, separate, and I was there to be of service. And even then, there were some things that, and that was a real graduation, because I did the steps, it was my insights had changed. I graduated into this environment where I wasn't being abused anymore. I was like, oh, like because of the steps, I started to gain enough self-worth that I'm in an environment that people treat me well, and it's a harmonious environment, and this feels really good. And I knew that that was one of the many lessons of DA. And so when I went in there, I was like, this is heaven. And then as I started to get better, I started to notice there were still some things that were like really starting to come up. Wow, time flies really fast. So anyway, so long story short, that job kind of left again, and it was like through HP again. They let me go really lovingly because they just didn't need my position anymore. They gave me, a generous, severance packet, and they were like, can we please call you in to audition us? And the little girl, FaceTimes me. I have a real connection with her, and can you be in our lives? And I'm like, okay, that's God, because I would just run away, or I would cut, or, if it's gone, it's gone. But, I now know how to stay in relationships and be in community, even though I still struggle with that. That's really changing. And now I wrote another intention, and I've attracted a job where it's really healthy. It's so healthy. And I don't know what the lesson here is. I know that this is another DA lesson. I work at a restaurant job, and I pray to be a worker among workers, but I look around amazed. Everyone's like, I really love it here. They treat you really well. They respect me so much. And, it's a job, and it's wow, that's again, doing the steps. So that's where I'm at with the job. I've been going every day, just praying to be of service, and I don't want to be there forever, but today I get to go and really be of service and be thankful that it allows me the flexibility to do other things that I want to do. And again, it's not up to me. It's not up to me to be willful and be like, okay, I'm going to do something else. It's really my only job is to, again, go to God through the steps and come to the meetings, and then things will change, and hold an intention. So I want to talk a little bit about the magic of PRGs. Oh wow, okay. So I had a PRG a few years ago, a couple of years ago maybe, and I remember it was just, I went in for me, for my vision stuff and earning, and my husband wasn't in program at the time, and my PRG guy was like, so how are things with you and your husband? And I was like, everything's fine. What are you talking about? Anyways, let's get back to this other stuff that I actually came here to do. And he was like, no, really, how are things with you and your husband? And I just I started bawling, and I was like, wow, I really feel I didn't really realize this, but I really feel a lot of pain because the spiritual life and the 12 steps in this language is such a huge part of my life, and I feel like I don't get to share that with my best friend, and so that was a real pain for me, and it was just felt impossible, and I didn't know what to do. And being a good Al-Anon, I didn't bother him. I just did my thing. And I was like, I have no idea what to do there. I really don't know what's going to happen. And my PRG people were like, why don't you just, honestly, really be vulnerable and just tell him how you feel? And I was like, well, but I'm an Al-Anon. I'm supposed to let him do his thing. And hands off, and let me just do my thing, right? Because I can't tell him to go to program because I tried and it didn't work. So he's like, well, that's different. That's trying to control the issue, but what if you were really vulnerable and didn't have any attachments and just showed him who you are, and what if you were really intimate? And I was like, oh, that's so scary, but okay. And I wrote that down. And I remember one morning, I was like, God, just show me how, show me when, help me. And then one morning, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the moment. And I was like, I did it so imperfectly, you guys. I was like, Ryan, I don't know if I should say, well, you guys know who my husband is. I was like, I really want to be able to vision with you. I really want to be able to talk about our future with you. That's 2 minutes. And I really want to share spiritual language with you. And I was bawling, and I had been asking him to go to chapter 9, which is a couples program, and he was like, nah, he was not moving. But then for some reason after that, he's like, I'll go. And I was like, I didn't even expect that. I didn't even bring that up. And he went, and we've been going for a couple of years, and now we have a sponsor couple. We do our steps together, and I didn't do anything, you guys. That was all God. I don't do anything. Like, that's the lesson here. Just don't do anything and just do the steps. Because if I do stuff, like, I will ruin it. And so, basically, like, he came into program now, and it's like mind-boggling. Like, he has a sponsor, he works the steps, and like, there are times I'm like, I don't have my meeting. It's like, well, I have to go early because I have to pick up bagels. And I'm just like, who are you? And then like one time I was like, hon, let's talk about this. I think we need to talk about this. And he's like, wait, I need a halt. And I was like, I don't know if I like it that you're in program, okay? But anyway, so, and that was one of the things before program that I was like, that's one of my biggest dream visions. I don't think I can ever get it, and it seems like impossible, and if I get that, that would be great. And like, I got it, and I got it through, it was like God working the miracles. And so, it's about money, and it's about so many other things. There's so much more I can say, but like, also the other thing is like, the amazing, wonderful, loving connections that I've had, and you guys helped me to open my heart, and you fill my heart with love where before there was isolation and loneliness. So thank you, and thank you to God.